So, we are going to be talking about a few basics to solve the energy crisis that I feel are readily available to be used now, right now, and refined upon and made even better. We're going to go over, first off and foremost, a hydrocarbon carbon recycle technology that is something a lot of experts all agree we need to somehow cap our carbon use and start immediately recycling and reducing the overall carbon that we currently use. And so the basic technology is a one-pot method for a series of steps that you have to use for turning a basic batch of carbon and starches and organic material into a genuinely feasible to run fuel. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take your sewage. I'm going to write this down for you. You're going to one sewage. You're going to take organic waste. 3 sticks, grass, forest, sticks, logs, trees, so on. Number 4, corn stalks. By the way, this was talked about in series of steps by other people. These are all their pieces put together to be more viable before you get all up in arms, because it's going to be using a lot less energy to be able to make this run and work. Corn stalks and other leftover farming crop. And number 5, last but not least, you know what, I'm kind of already done. I mean, because it's like we have technically more sources, but any real sources of carbon and quote unquote near sugar chemicals. All right. The one pot method is rather simple. Pyrolysis, we all know about pyrolysis. Pyrolysis is going to be involved, but give it a second. We're going to take the bacteria from sewage, from our sewage, to do a basic breaking down of organic waste material. Grass clippings, sticks, bananas, anything and all things. They exist inside of our guts, naturally produce hydrogens from that waste material, and methanes as well, and other carbon-rich sources of natural gas, which, hold your horses, we also have bacteria that breaks down our organic material for kerosene. That's a relatively new one. It's made by us, man-made. We don't have it in our bodies, otherwise, that would be a bad thing. Kerosene in our guts would probably hurt. So, But, that being said, we're going to take that, we're going to allow it to run itself effectively to a pasteurizational process using the decomposition method within one singular pot, rather big. Hold your horses on that pot before you think it's just a regular ass pot. We're going to put on a acrylic top, sealed. We want it to have air in no way. We want it to have sunlight, though, in many ways. Sunlight's good. We're going to mix it a little bit, but not just like any old mixing. We're going to create what is essentially some ultrasonic frequencies. And now, that's actually just going to wave it. And you typically heat it up and break things down. But not just any old breakdown, because we're going to get that later. We want to stir this. We need algae and we need moss. If you don't know, moss is extremely good for creating versions of sugars or near sugar compounds. That's a really good thing to do. All right, now utilizing this bacteria, it's going to eventually heat up to the point and pressurize itself to the point where it goes, I'm dead. I don't care. I'm dead. I'm bacteria that can't live in this heat and live in this pressure. I'm dead. Fuck you. I'm not bacteria. I am the constituent components of bacteria with some residual organic compounds, enzymes, proteins. Okay? We're not done yet. That's the first step. We use those to make the first step. I have a little bit of pressure. I've got urine. I've got water. But it's pasteurized. I let it cool off. Hide it from the sun. Now, what are we going to do? The next step is fungus. Fungus is really good for taking oils for oil, wood, and any organic material and breaking it down into what is essentially more sugary, starchy carbon that can be easily then used for fungus, yeast, quotation marks, yeast, for ethanol production. Ethanol production is simple, easy, very, you drop some yeast in and it eats it. And then you get ethanol because it's a fermentation process. If you don't know about that, that's how all ethanol is produced, practically speaking. We're not done yet. You know what really loves ethanol? Certain kinds, by the way, because we're going to then, under this pressure and under this heat, because it has broken down the vast majority of your algae, organic wood, banana, all that stuff. Use the pasteurization process to break down most of the organic compounds, but not all of them. Okay, you still have carbon, you still have a good damn amount, and you still have bacteria. We have bacteria that helps with breakdown of plastics for propane and methane, which that one's another one on the list. Hold your horses. I didn't say that, but thank you for, probably if you ever see this in the comments, writing that down and being like, which is probably what I would do. So, for plastics. So plastics as well, which they are non-competitive. If you don't know, they are non-competitive bacteria. They don't go after each other. It's pasteurized. Fungus isn't going to get eaten by your bacteria, so fungus is good. Third and final, after we dump out the methane, hydrogen that now add a catalyst to help form some of those ethanols a little easier because it's organic compounds, a lot of them, along with minerals. We are now going to break that down with mold. Good old decay mold, garbage, crappity stuff that smells terrible, but for more carbon rich styles of near sugar. And then back to, after pressurization and heating and all the rest of it, fourth step, fungus. You guessed it, for yeast production. After pasteurization, which we're not going to be using real pasteurization, we're going to let the sun, it being in an enclosed environment with lots of humidity, effectively heat it the hell up and pasteurize it. With sun and biochemical processes. Then we're going to use fungus for ethanol production once more. And now, final, because at the time of writing this, it's like we still have solar panels. They're not gone, solar panels, so wind and solar in the pot for heating the pot. Which we're not finished yet with that. We have ultrasonic frequencies. And light radiation in specific areas for faster breakdown with heat and water of plastics. Which, by the way, biodegradable plastics are now on the table because they're biodegradable and this is a biodegrading process. So obviously they can be used. Now, light is going to be a laser. Ultrasonic, you're going to hit certain areas with inside of it to effectively forcefully heat in a rotating area fashion that allows for a bubbling, quickening of the heat. Quickening, meaning boiling, meaning heating it up faster, of the one pot, which also helps stimulate and move this entire process along more quickly. This, with the heat around the pot and the inside electrically resistive heating elements, tends to help heat it rather fast. Then it usually breaks down fully most of the, in fact, it should be all of the plastics and carbons into hydrocarbons for the one-pot method that can be now natural gas and extracted. Upon bleeding the system throughout this process, you can gain different forms and distill, much like any other one-pot distillery method, different ethanols, hydrocarbons, so on, that are 100% fuel blendable and now 100% recyclable using just wind and sun. You get it, okay? Using biological processes to essentially help it along. That's all that's being done here, okay? And for a very cheap price of time invested. That's what this is. Okay, it's time invested. That energy is being used to gain energy more than you put in because an exothermic reaction for the potential to exothermic, meaning kinetic energy, is actualized with the air being introduced, and so you get more out of it than you put in. Now, we're almost done. This can be fully broken down to even better methods because organic, enzymatic, protein-rich styles of catalysts and enzymes will further increase the efficiency of the one-pot method, alongside of the salt and more that can be extracted, then along with residual near graphite to even other styles of carbon that is still going to be in this soil, not fully, but it's bound loosely, means you can then create a salt graphite anode cathode battery with the other minerals like potassiums, lithiums, manganese, magnesium, and more that is found in our sewage and throughout most of our regular everyday, but in such small quantities, it doesn't matter much until you have this one pot that then goes through several cycles, and now it's an actual mineral extraction that is worthwhile to now produce these batteries therein. So 6 is gain batteries for hybridization upgrades to existing cars, making them more efficient for less energy input as energy cost for new vehicles. Then 7th is distribution, which, because you have batteries, with hybrid or full electric brackets here, parentheses, even electric motors using extracted minerals and hybrid electrostatic electromagnetic motors for better torque and speed for horsepower at RPM, taking advantage of mechanical this one's a big one. You have to give me a second. I've already talked about it on my channel previously, but you might not have seen it. Mechanical axial / radial flux design by shrinking radial during rotation. For reduced carbon output from renewable source. All right. Now, that is the one pot method. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of Just look at all of that. Just look. You have 7 steps. It's well written. Clearly, you can read that. It's so easy. I don't like. How could you not see that exactly for? Like, that's on you, really. Like,